name is Abigail and I will present about what is petroleum in organic chemistry and introduction of petroleum industry. First, petroleum is a crude oil, which is a naturally occurring complex mixture of hydrocarbon. Besides, petroleum is often processed into variety of fluid and chemical. Petroleum also is a fossil fluid that is created when significant amount of carbon dioxide are released into the atmosphere. It is vital to many industries and necessary for the maintenance of industrial civilization. The petroleum industry, sometimes known as oil patch, encompasses the global process of the petroleum product, exploration, extraction, refining, and transportation. The larger volume of product industry is fluid oil and gasoline. Petroleum also is the raw material for many chemical products, including pharmaceutical, solvent, fertilizer, pesticide, synthetic fragrance, and plastic. Moreover, the industry usually divided into three major components, which are upstream, midstream, and downstream. Upstream regard exploration and extraction of crude oil. Midstream encompass transportation and storage of crude. Downstream concern refining crude oil into various end products.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Rahman and I will present to you about the early history of petroleum. First of all, around 4,000 years ago, in the area of Babylon, which is Africa, there were walls and towers that are built using asphalt. So, Herodotus and Diodorus Siculus has stated that around the walls and towers there were oil pits surrounding it. So this makes them the first people to discover oil pits. Further on, 2000 years ago in China, they stated that they were the first people to discover, extract, and exploit the usage of petroleum as a fuel. How do they get the oil from the earth? They use a bamboo drill well to extract the oil. Furthermore, in the 9th century, crude oil was exploited in the area of Baku, in the country of Azerbaijan. Thus, the streets of Baghdad were covered with tar during that era. From 1415 to 1450, sophisticated oil pits with a depth of 4.5 to 6 meters deep were dug by the Seneca people and other Iroquois in western Pennsylvania. That is all from me.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Fazil Shafi bin Muhammad Fudi, and before this we have already learned about the early history of the petroleum industry. Now I will tell you about the modern history. The first one is we begin with the coal oil. The modern history of the petroleum begin in 19th century, which is James Young refining the paraffin from the coal oil in 1847, but the supply of oil from the coal mine soon eventually being exhausted by 1851. So the problem has been solved after many years of experiment. Young successfully obtained the new oil that's called the paraffin oil. In the 1950, Young and Meldon and Edward William Binney entered into the partnership under the title of E.W. Binney Corporation at Bathgate in West Lothian and become the first truly commercial oil and oil refinery in the world. Now, I will tell you about the kerosene. Abraham Pinion Gessner, a Canadian geologist, developed a process to refine a liquid fuel from the coal, bitumen, and oil shale. His new discovery, which he named kerosene, burned more cleanly and was less expensive than the competing products such as the whale oil. In 1950, Gessner created the kerosene gaslight company and began to expand it by 1854. By 1852, Ignacy Lukasiewicz improved the Gessner method to develop a means of refining the kerosene from the more readily available rock oil seeps. This discovery rapidly spread around the world, and Morozov built the first modern Russian refinery in the mature oil field in Baku in 1861. Now we will proceed to oil wells and refineries. An early commercial well was hand-dug in Poland in 1853 and another in the nearby Romania in 1857. At around the same time, the world's first and small oil refineries were opened in Poland, but the larger one is being opened in Romania. It was built in 1856 and inaugurated in 1857 by the brothers Theodore and Marin Mehedin-Tiano. The Raffles refinery was then called the world's first systematic oil distillery, setting the record for being the world's first oil refinery according to the Academy of the World Record. So in the 1857, the total production of Romania was amounted to 275 tons of crude oil, which in this figure, Romania was registered as the first country in the world production statistic. And lastly, the 20th centuries. By the 1910, the significant oil fields has been discovered in Dutch East Indians. But availability of oil and access to it become the cardinal importance in military power before and after the World War I, particularly for navies as they changed from coal, but also with the introduction of motor transport, tanks, and airplanes. Until the mid-1950s, coal was still the most foremost field. But after a while, this time oil quickly took over. Later, following the 1973 till 1979 energy crisis, there was a significant media coverage on the subject of oil supply level. This has brought light to the concern that oil is a limited resources that will eventually run out. Although at the time the most common and the popular predictions were quite dire, a period of increased production and reduced demand in the following years caused an oil glut in the 1918. This was not to last, however. By the first decade of the 21st century, discussion about the peak oil has returned to the news. So, the top 3 oil producing countries now are Saudi Arabia, Russia, and the United States. Austria-Hungary lost its permit on oil production, which had been at the root of the 1910 petroleum war. So that's all for me. Thank you for the hearing.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Hafiz Zikri and today I'll be presenting about the production of petroleum. So first of all, we have the deep water drilling, or otherwise known as deep well drilling. This is done by the creating of holes in the earth's crust using a drilling rig for oil extraction under the deep sea. Another example of production of petroleum is flowing wells. This is done by freezing off wells as a result of rapid expansion of gas together with the formation of ice actually in the well itself. After that is the mechanical extraction of oil. This is done by the process of pumping and planting to raise the oil to the surface from depths of 5,000 to 10,000 feet. We also have air gas lift efficiency, which is the process of paraffination of oil where waxy oil is encountered. Last but not least is exhausted pools. The exhausted spool process is the disposal of surplus natural gas, particularly in regions removed from populous gas. Thank you.
Hi, and a very good day to you, sir and madam. I'm Pang Shan from Group 3, and I would like to present about the top 5 of petroleum industries in Malaysia. First of all, Altus Oil and Gas Malaysia Sdn Bhd Altus Malaysia was founded in 2010 and formed part of Altus Logistic Group Network. From its humble beginning with a small office in Johor and 3 personnel, Altus Malaysia has since grown its presence in Malaysia with offices and onshore bases in Labuan, Bintulu, Meri, Kemaman, Johor, Port Klang and Kuala Lumpur. It later shifted its headquarters from Johor to Kuala Lumpur and currently employs more than 70 personnel. And it is one of the top leading supply chain companies with 3 broad diversified sectors: marine solutions, oil field solutions and also logistic solutions. So next will be Hablin Oil and Gas Sdn Bhd. Hablin is a jewel in the crown of customer service, a raw of artistic maneuver of realistic critical requirement to meet unprecedented challenge, most robust condition ever known to mankind, namely upstream offshore oil and gas industry. It is also the second most rigid requirement to space technology. Since 1993, Hablin is licensed by Petronas as a vendor in oil and gas industry, Prasarana, TMB, Perdual, Proton, Highcom and more. For the third, which is Hwasiong Malaysia Trading Co. Sdn Bhd. Hwasiong Corporation Berhad incorporated on 9 October 1999 has evolved into an international oil and gas and industrial services group listed on the main market of Bursa Malaysia Securities Berhad. It provides various E&P products and services for international oil and gas sector. After that, it will be Dermaga Oil and Gas Sdn Bhd. This company was founded in 2009 and qualified as trusted global partner to the oil and gas industry. It provides flow measurement solutions, flow computers, oil and gas power and energy consultancy and more services. Lastly, will be Malaysia Petroleum Resources Corporation. Malaysia Petroleum Resources Corporation was established in 2011 and to advance the local oil and gas services and equipment, which is OGSE, industry and develop a thriving regional hub for our sector in Malaysia. MPRC also works collaboratively with fellow governments agencies. So that's all from me. Thank you for lending your ears.
Hi guys, I'm Cha here, a member from Group 3. So I'm going to talk about the contribution of petroleum towards our country, Malaysia. So it's been a long time Malaysia dependent on our the industrial of oil and gas sector for range of purpose. So Malaysia is known as the second largest oil producer in the Southeast Asian and the world's third largest exporter of LGN, which is known as liquefied natural gas. According to data compiled by the U.S. Energy Information Administration (EIA), in 2020, country's total fuel production was close to 655,000 barrels per day, which about 556,000 was estimated to be crude oil and 49,000 was natural gas planted liquids. So in addition to the oil and gas sector being an important growth driver of a national economy, which is vital resource venue for the government, its fiscal contribution comes from variety forms, which are petroleum income tax (PIT) paid by the petroleum-related firms, royalty from petroleum and gas companies, export duties on petroleum products, and dividend repaid by Petronas. So the table both here, A and B, represents the changing composition of oil and gas revenue over past 50 years. That the first year revenue sources are long-lasting. However, since the mid 1980s, Petronas has paid dividends to Malaysian government for around 15% in 1985. This has increased to approximately half of the total petroleum-related revenue in recent years. Consequently, the relative importance of established contributions such as petroleum income tax and petroleum gas royalty have decreased in relative importance, and more reliable and more discretionary Petronas dividends have become the second source of oil-related revenue over time. So guys, after all of this, we can see either national or international trading of petroleum makes Malaysia petroleum industry a success. Consequently, it will boost our national economy. So there's many other more contributions done by our petroleum industry in Malaysia. So as you can see all of this around here. So these actually the things that we can see in our daily life. So the first one, government decided to benefit our citizens with free textbook that will be used by our primary and secondary school students. So this actually contributed by our national petroleum industry, which is known as Petronas. So this contribution allows students to continue their studies without worrying their issue of textbook. So moreover, job opportunities. Yes, of course, we need manpower to run our petroleum industry, so citizens are able to earn income to feed their own family. So other than that, we have stable GDP income, which we just mentioned before. So enable cooking gas and to power up vehicles and machines. So this the result of combustion of petroleum, which is give out heat to and energy to run our motors and to cook our food. So last but not least, the plastic equipment such as bottles and clothes are made from the synthesis of petroleum, so that we can use in our chores, such as we can fill in waters in our drinking bottles, that we can bring all of these, that which is quite last longly, we can last very long time. So it makes a lot of benefit to our daily life. So that's all from me. Thank you.